Getting used to a new normal, it's extremely difficult, especially something that you're not used to, but you need to live with it for the rest of your life or for a very long time coming. Disability is not something anyone ever wishes for. I remember when we were little, we'll just tease ourselves and ask, which will you prefer? To be blind, deaf, dumb, or lame? And you close your eyes and like, no, 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 I don't want to be blind. I don't want to be deaf. I don't want to be lame. Nobody wants disability. But disability is something that just comes because life happens. Today on Against All Odds, we have so much to offer you on this program. My name is Doshima Pius Ikerevi. Stay with us. We will be back very shortly.
This is Against All Odds.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it is still Against All Odds on the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. It is very easy to be born into disability, but when you need to acquire it at a certain age in life, it is very difficult. Acquiring disability has sent a lot of people to an early grave because they couldn't cope with depression. On Against All Odds today, we have some set of persons that came together and deemed it necessary to give life, hope to persons who acquired blindness at a certain age in their life. What have these people done differently? What are they doing differently? Stay with us as we unravel all this to you.
This is Against All Odds.
The Federal Society for the Blind Lagos was established in 1955, way before the independence of Nigeria. Back in the 50s, when this rehabilitation center was set up, it was very common to find out that people who acquired blindness in adulthood practically ended up as beggars. And so a group of philanthropists came together and said, no, even though people lose their sight, they still have potentials. And if properly guided, they can learn how to cope with blindness and put their potentials into very good use, gearing their energy to the development of themselves and the society at large. The founding trustees were made up of Reverend Leo Hill Taylor. He was an American missionary who was also the first principal of St. Gregory College, Obalande, Lagos, Nigeria. The first Muslim lawyer in Nigeria, Muhammad L.B. Augusto, and Dr. Akinola Maja, all of them are of blessed memory. Also, in the founding days, they also had people like late Ambassador Aduke Alakija, G.A. Adebola, and Kofo Abayomi. It was the vision of all these people put together who had the passion to ensure that people who lost their sight can still realize their potentials and wax gold. And so the vision and drive brought about the establishment of the Federal Society for the Blind, which is located in Lagos State, Nigeria. It is a rehabilitation center that caters for the blind all over the Federation. Fast forwarding to many years later, the center is still active and waxing strong. Generations and generations of trustees and executive members have come and gone, obviously all doing well to uphold the glory and standard that was created. Today, on Against All Odds, we have the honor of joining us via Zoom, one of the Executive Council members, and some ex-students talk with us on journey so far.
This is Against All Odds.
Adela, it's good to meet you. Thank you for coming on Against All Odds.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what actually informed this organization?
People had a passion to just ensure that people who lose their sight can still realize their potential and end up doing great things. So it was because of the vision of these people that the Federal Nigeria Society was set up in 1955. And we're proud to maintain that legacy even until today.
That's fantastic. You know, just out of curiosity, all the founding fathers you did mention, was any of them blind?
None of them was blind, actually, but it was just, I mean, even if I look at my circumstance, right, I don't have any blind people in my family, you know, but it's just when I first visited the Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind, I just felt like it was a worthy cause. Blindness is something that can happen to anyone. Over 99% of the people who train at the Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind, none of them was born blind. But for one reason or the other, they lost their sight. So blindness can happen to anybody. A lot of people lose their sights in accidents. Some lose their sight because of diseases like measles and stroke and diabetes. You know, so it's not usually something that people plan to happen, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Right? And there are millions of Nigerians who are living with blindness. So the situation is, yes, these people are living with blindness. What can we do to make it better for them so that they can still realize their potential?
As a society that was actually set up before independence must be a very old society. And for it to uphold its grace until now, I'm sure there's so much work that has been put into it, okay? What do you people do to make the lives of persons better in the society?
Our primary purpose is to train and rehabilitate people who have lost their sight in adulthood. We cater for a wide range of ages. We cater for people who have lost their sight, who are aged from 15 to 80. And we consider that the people that we are catering to are either adolescents or adults, right? For obvious reasons, we cannot accommodate children because we don't want to mix children with adults. In addition to that, we do advocacy, not just for people who are visually impaired, but for the wider group of persons living with disability. And, you know, we also make sure that people who lose their sight end up learning new skills so that they can cope with blindness. We teach them skills called daily living skills. With daily living skills, they learn how to live, you know, on their own, iron, cook, clean, take care of themselves. And then they also learn vocational skills, right? So they learn vocational skills like tie and dye, like basket making, like bag making. In fact, I will tell you, the dress I am wearing now, the tie and dye was actually done by a blind person. And even my bag, I will show you my bag. My bag over here was actually the beadwork was actually done. The frame was actually done by a blind person. You know, they learn how to do these kind of skills so that on their own they can now become entrepreneurs. So they learn business studies, entrepreneurship. They even learn IT skills. So believe it or not, many people don't know, but blind people who are trained can actually use computers. So they can use computers, they can type very fast. You know, if you look at good typists, they don't actually look at the screen. They're typing without looking at the screen. So a blind person who is taught can actually, do all that, right? And of course, they learn music. Music is very important because it also helps with emotional stability as well. But by the time they finish training with us, they are more equipped to fit better into society and can do more things on their own.
Mm. That sounds very, very encouraging, I must say. Now, Adiola, the Federal Nigerian Society for the Blind, it's an academy. You pay school fees. How do these students get their school fees? Or are they being sponsored?
The Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind is run like a sort of educational facility. We expect students to pay school fees, and the school fees that we expect them to pay is subsidized by about 80% of what we actually expect them to pay, just so that it can be affordable. Because most people who lose their sight would have done everything, spent all the money just to maintain that sight, but in the end they still lose it. So a lot of people who lose their sight end up in poverty. So we understand that, and we said, okay, how can we make it affordable? So we are the school fees is actually 150,000 naira, which is 50,000 per term, right? And students are there for either 1 or 2 years, depending on the kind of skill sets they want to live with. So if they are more of if they want to do more of just learning the basics, right? Learning things like Braille. I'm sure you know what Braille is. Braille is a system of embossed dots, whereby people who are visually impaired can actually read. So they can read anything that is printed in a Braille format. So they can learn Braille, they can learn mobility and orientation, and the daily living skills, and a few of the vocational skills, right? Now, if they want to get deeper in those things, then they can be there for 2 years so that they can perfect their skills and become more empowered entrepreneurs.
How does the Federal Society for the Blind function presently?
The Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind is run by a group of executive council members who report to trustees. We function on a voluntary basis, but we actually have administrative staff, of course, who are paid, and who, people like the principal, the administrator, who actually do the day-to-day running of the institution. The institution, the Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind, when the students are there, it's a boarding environment, so they are surrounded by other people in the same predicament, right? So they don't feel as lonely. They don't feel as if I'm the only one that's going through this thing. They're around other people. We have separate male and female hostels. The students are fed 3 times a day, and we have like a psychologist that comes to ensure that everyone's mental state of health is in a good condition. Because when people go through blindness, it's they start feeling very depressed and lonely and want to commit suicide and all that. So we just make sure that everyone is fine psychologically, and sports wise, they get engaged in sports, drama, in pretty much most things. The different opportunities that we expose them to, it actually costs us quite a lot. So that burden ends up falling on the administrative and council members to get involved in fundraising activities, so that we can sustain our efforts. So we'll be, of course, calling on members of the public to please support our cause.
Very laudable projects, I must say. Now, what has been the success story so far for students who have passed through the Federal Nigerian Society for the Blind? What has been the success story?
Oh, we have had loads of success stories. I mean, for an institution that has been around since 1955, some of the more recent examples are some of our ex-students have gone on to work with the UN. Many have traveled internationally in different projects. We have some that are running schools. We have one currently working as she started as on the undergraduate program in PwC. Blindness is not the end of the world for the people who we train. It's actually the beginning of a new world. We have people, in fact, who have gone on to represent Nigeria at the Paralympics and won medals. We have people who have won silver and bronze medals for Nigeria after finishing from our institution. So we've really helped to basically restore lost hope, restore confidence. We have people who have gone on, I mean, they were blind doctors, and they've been able to go back and continue being doctors. Of course, we have the lawyers. When Babatunde Fashola was in power, I remember he came to the institution and he spotted some very bright individuals who are now working with Lagos States in the judiciary. Even on the council, we have a member of the council who is he's a very well-established human rights lawyer, and he's visually impaired as well. So and of course, you would know about other blind people all around the world, like Stevie Wonder, like Eric Waymire. Eric Waymire climbed Mount Everest. Mount Everest is not an easy task. There are some parts that you literally have to like fly, like jump over a very large distance. But he did it as a blind person. So it doesn't mean that because someone is blind that they end up becoming beggars.
A disability law was passed in 2019. How has it helped enhance the center?
We thank God for the disability law, which was passed in 2019 by the Buhari administration. But it's a law that was passed, but to our disappointment, we've observed that it's not exactly being implemented. And the law states so many things, amongst which you have people with disabilities. We would like to call on the federal government to look for ways to work with the Ministry of Information to, first of all, spread awareness of this law, but to also enforce and implement this law so that it is practical and ensures the inclusion of people who are living with disabilities.
I'm sure there are some challenges that the academy has been facing, and you would like to share it with us?
Because of COVID, we have seen that if people are not empowered with technological devices, they really might just be cut off from the rest of the world. I mean, you are in Abuja and I'm in Lagos, and we are having this video. But if someone doesn't have a device or even have internet, then they're totally cut out. It's not really expected that many of them actually have devices on which they can, even connect with the rest of the world. Right now, we're doing online classes for our students, but it's not all of them that have devices. So it's only for, I guess, it's those who don't have devices are kind of not exactly benefiting from the online classes. Funding is a huge challenge. Access to technology is another challenge. We hope that people would support access to the internet, access to mobile devices.
Bearing in mind COVID-19, what has been put in place differently to cope with the new normal?
We provided masks for all the students. Everyone entering the institution is sanitized and is made to wash their hands. The students, even in their classrooms, will be enforcing social distancing to make sure everyone is 2 meters apart. Even in the classes, in the dining room, when they're sleeping, they're not so clustered. There's enough space. I would encourage you, if you ever, are in Lagos, I would encourage you to come and visit the place. We have a big compound, big grounds, so there's enough space for us to cope. And the students, the teachers, everyone has been trained on personal hygiene, on maintaining social distancing. Everybody's temperature is also checked. So if we notice that anyone's temperature is rising or might be suspected to have COVID, we have an isolation room as well that they can be isolated from everybody else. Right, and we're in touch with hospitals as well, so that in the case where anyone has the virus, they can be isolated first of all, and then they can be safely transported to an isolation center. Of course, we have a matron on site. So the matron is a nurse, so she's empowered to deliver first aid, and we've basically done a lot of training. So we're right on track. We've taken every precaution necessary. Of course, because Lagos State had said that all teaching institutions should observe the lockdown. The students are all at home right now. So when Lagos State says that it's safe for schools to resume, we'll resume as well. But in terms of checking on the students, everyone is fine. Everyone has been accounted for. So we thank God. We thank God.
Wow, Adela, you're doing a great job. You and the other council members and all the executives and the administrators and all that. It is not easy.
How has the center impacted and helped people build and realize their dream?
If the center had not trained me on the use of all these things I mentioned, there was no way at all that I could cope in the outside world. There was no way I could practice my profession. There was no way I could go to school, because immediately I graduated from here, I moved on to a college of education. That's at Special Oyo, because then, I said my side problem began when I was in secondary school. So I was just able to manage to write my SSC. So I came out with 4 credits. And 4 credits then was only able to get me an admission into a college, not a university. So I was like, okay, let me just buy time, because I didn't want to sit at home after living here, sitting for jam and all that. I said I was not going to sit at home. That instead of sitting at home, let me just go to a college of education. And I went to a college of education. I was able to cope there because of the training I got here. In terms of mobility, in terms of daily living skills, because I could cope in school very well, as in doing my things, going to classes, as in cooking my food, ironing my clothes, things like that. If I hadn't gotten the training on how to do it myself here, there was no way I could cope. And immediately my college education, I moved into the university, and I was able to cope very well. I was able to cope because I was introduced to all that here at the center. So, and the same thing, my place of work, I move around my office myself. I don't need to call anybody to hold me or take me anywhere. I do my computer typing myself, because normally in a media organization, in broadcasting, radio broadcasting, if you are to go on air or broadcast any program, you first put it into scripting. So I'm able to do my scripts myself. I edit my program myself. It's all thanks to the training I got here.
It was like, one is starting a new life all over again. The blind world is as like a very different world from the regular world one I've been living before now. But later on, I was able to put myself together again.
I like to advise parents, please and please and please, don't hide that child at home. Don't keep them at home. Secondly, I like the parents to accept reality and move forward. You need to seek knowledge concerning that area and find solution. Then accept that child's difference. Accept the difference now and celebrate it. Make the child, participate in everything that is happening within the home, within the society, even in the school. There's so many inventions, so many things that could help assist whatever the challenge to live better and cope better with the challenge. We need the Guide Kings subsidy. Please support someone, finance someone on scholarship. Help somebody to cross the road.
If people want to reach out to us, we are very, very interested in hearing from you.
This is Against All Odds.
Thank you, Adiola, and your team for doing a wonderful job and giving hope to this set of persons who actually thought that their life has come to a standstill. Coping with the situation we find ourselves is the only way we can get ourselves out of depression. Adapting to your new normal and taking it as life anyway is what makes us different. And the most interesting thing is having people around you who make you feel special, even in your situation. You can be anything you want to be. Thank you for always keeping a date with us. My name remains Toshima Payo Sekiravi. Let's do this again next week, same time, same station.
Audio Jungle.